What is going on, everyone? This is Sarah coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut, and today we are going to be looking at the draft pick trade that saw the New Orleans Saints acquire running back, Heisman winning running back, Mark Ingram, and the Patriots make a lot of moves. So, this occurred during the 2011 NFL Draft. So, the original trade saw the New Orleans Saints acquire the 28th pick in 2011 from New England in exchange for the 56th pick and a 2012 first rounder. So, of course, we'll start off with discussing how New Orleans did in this trade. And Mark Ingram, obviously, is who they pick with the 28th pick. And Ingram has a relatively quiet first two seasons, mostly due to injury. But his third year, he has a good year. Not great, but good. Now, of course, his fourth year, which is essentially a contract year to an extent, he breaks out. He has a great year. He does okay in 2015, but then he again topples 1,000 yards in 2016 and 2017. So he's showing the massive potential that he had in college. But in 2018, he ends up getting suspended 4 games for his use of performance-enhancing drugs, and he had a slower, he didn't do great upon his return from the suspension. And then he would walk in free agency. Obviously, he went to the Ravens. And he's a 2-time Pro Bowler for the Saints. Now, what did they end up giving up for him? So with the 56th selection that New England got, they would select running back Shane Vereen. So Shane Vereen had a decent, not great, but decent 4 years in New England. Now, he was far more of a receiving back than a rusher. So he was on the field more than you expect, but the running numbers weren't there, but the receiving numbers were there. So he got a lot of those quick dump passes that Brady likes to throw. Now we get to that 2012 first round pick. And that first round pick would become the 27th overall. So New England would actually bundle the 27th pick along with the 93rd overall selection and send both those picks to Cincinnati in exchange for the 21st overall pick. So with the 21st pick, the New England Patriots would select defensive end, linebacker, Chandler Jones. So Chandler Jones was a starter for 4 years. He was a great starter in New England. And he proved that he was dominant. He recorded 36 sacks over those 4 years, along with 10 forced fumbles. Now, he ends up getting traded, and he's a 1-time Pro Bowler while in New England. And he gets traded to the Arizona Cardinals in exchange for the 61st pick in the 2016 NFL Draft and guard Jonathan Cooper. So Jonathan Cooper, he was a complete bust for the Cardinals, so they were just trying to see if they can get something for him. And he goes to New England. He spends a month there, and he does nothing in New England. He's inactive for a month, and then they just cut him. So, yeah, Jonathan Cooper was more or less a throw-in, more likely than not at this point. Now, how did the 61st pick go for New England? Well, they would trade it to the aforementioned New Orleans Saints in exchange for picks 78 and 112. So the Patriots with the 78th pick would select guard Joe Thuney. And Thuney has had himself he's been an above average starter ever since he made his way to the league. He's obviously right now he's playing on a franchise tag in 2020. And there's a lot of rumors going around that after the season's done, he's going to walk. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, he's a very good starter, so he'll get paid. Whether it's by New England or somebody else, we shall see. With the 112th pick, they went with wide receiver Malcolm Mitchell. So Malcolm Mitchell underachieved in his rookie year, and he ends up missing all of 2017 with an injury, and then he gets cut. And he's retired recently, so not a great pickup for the Patriots. So, obviously, we have to go back and discuss 3 more teams. We'll start with New Orleans since we already covered them before. So, with the 61st pick in the 2016 draft, they would select safety Von Bell. So, Von Bell, he was a decent safety for 4 years. Not elite, but decent before he would walk in free agency. Real quick, we'll get Arizona. So they obviously got defensive end linebacker Chandler Jones, and they paid him a pretty big salary when they got him. And what they end up doing with Jones is he becomes he becomes, he just becomes an amazing edge rusher, sorry, and he dominates. So he becomes a defensive force. Now, he's made 2 Pro Bowls, and he's a 2-time first-team All-Pro. Now, in 2017, that was his real breakout year. He actually led the NFL in sacks with 17. And for both the Cardinals and the Patriots, he was a member of the NFL 2010s All-Decade team. So Chandler Jones was a real good pick for the Patriots and a good trade option for the Cardinals. Now, lastly, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, who obviously got 27 and 93 from New England during the 2012 draft in exchange for the pick that would become Chandler Jones. And they didn't do that bad either. So with the 27th pick, they would select guard Kevin Zeitler. So Zeitler himself, he was an above-average guard for 5 years while in Cincinnati. Obviously, he played his rookie contract out. And then he would end up walking, and he went to Cleveland, as we know. So, or he went to Cleveland or New York. And then we have the 93rd pick, and this was the one they kind of missed on. They went with defensive tackle Brandon Thompson. And Thompson did not play much over 5 seasons. He was more of a reserve defensive tackle before he gets cut. So that was the Mark Ingram trade. So essentially, who wins this trade? Probably the Patriots. They got a good 4 years out of Chandler Jones and a good 5 years out of Joe Thuney. And they didn't really give up a lot. They got a good receiving back in Shane Vereen. New Orleans kind of, Von Bell probably did a little better than Ingram to an extent for what you got for him, what you gave up. And Cincinnati got Zeitler, solid player for 5 years. Arizona got Chandler Jones, who's still a dominant force. So really, there's no real loser in this trade. So all in all, the Mark Ingram trade was a success for all the teams involved in it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, we're doing a good amount of trade breakdowns. They're going to be coming up here and there. And of course, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you have any other suggestions. I have a lot of stuff ready to go. So definitely make sure to leave a comment. Have a great day, guys.